Reno 10 series was launched in China back in May, but now Oppo is taking it global with the Oppo Reno10 Pro. So what's the deal with the Reno10 Pro, and is it a mid-ranger worth considering? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our full review. This is the global version of the Oppo Reno10 Pro, which is different from the Chinese model of the same name, including the design and many parts of the hardware. For example, there's a different chipset and screen here, and the charging rate has also been slightly downgraded from 100 watts to 80. But since not many of you will be buying the Chinese one, let's focus on what this phone has to offer. The design of the Reno10 Pro isn't flashy, but its camera island, especially the part with the semicircle, does stand out. Beyond that, you get a smooth, pastel-colored glass back, which is separated from the curved screen by a thin plastic frame. The overall effect is sleek and well-balanced. On the front is a 6.7-inch curved OLED display with a 1080p resolution and 120Hz refresh rate. The brightness is good here. We measured a maximum of around 500 nits with the manual slider, which can boost to nearly 800 nits in auto mode when in bright sun. As expected from an OLED display, you get excellent contrast, and it also has great color accuracy if you go for the right color mode. Plus, there's support for 10-bit color and HDR10+ video. The 120Hz refresh rate smooths out your swiping and scrolling, and regardless of whether you're in the high or auto refresh rate mode in settings, it will dial down to 60Hz when idling to save energy. For audio, the Reno 10 has just a single bottom firing speaker. It scored just average on our loudness test, and the sound quality is nothing to write home about either. You can listen for yourself and compare to other phones by following the provided link. For biometric input, the Oppo Reno 10 Pro has an under-display optical fingerprint reader. It's quite fast and accurate. The global Reno 10 Pro comes with just one option for storage, 256 gigs, and that isn't expandable. Something worth mentioning is that Oppo has downgraded the memory type on the global model. It has the older UFS 2.2 compared to the Chinese version's UFS 3.1. How about the interface? The phone runs Oppo's ColorOS 13.1 on top of Android 13. It's among the more deeply customizable interfaces out there. One feature you don't see just anywhere is an IR blaster, so you can use the phone to control appliances with. Besides that though, the experience is basically the same as what you'd find on any other Oppo, Realme, or OnePlus phone lately, since they're all owned by the same company and have the same core software package. Because of this, if you'd like to get a more in-depth look at the software features, you can actually check out our dedicated Realme UI video. Unlike its China-based sibling, the international Reno 10 Pro is based on a Qualcomm chipset, a Snapdragon 778G 5G. It's a couple of years old by now, but not underpowered. In benchmarks, the Reno 10 Pro sits lower on the charts than competitors with more recent chipsets, but their performance is adequate. There's enough power here for casual gaming, and even more intensive titles if you temper your expectations. The Reno 10 Pro did throttle during our stress test, but did so fairly gradually, without any sudden or jarring drops, which could cause in-game stutters. The Oppo Reno 10 Pro has a 4600 mAh battery, and battery life is good, posting an overall endurance rating of 104 hours in our tests. The charging speed is impressive when you use the bundled 80-watt charger. With it, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 58% in 15 minutes. A full charge took 30 minutes. Now let's talk cameras. The Reno 10 Pro has a 50-megapixel main cam, a 32-megapixel telephoto unit, and an 8-megapixel ultra-wide camera. The main cam bins pixels 4:1 to produce 12.5-megapixel photos by default. These look good, with a high level of detail, true-to-life colors, and well-balanced contrast and dynamic range. However, there is some edge softness, and you can see some visible noise in those areas too. Portraits from the main cam are good, with subject separation doing alright in most scenes. It does struggle with more challenging scenes though. In low light, the main camera captures decent photos, with plenty of detail, good contrast, and preserved colors. Light sources are handled reasonably well, and shadows are well developed, which is also good to see. Our main complaint with these shots is the excessive noise, notably higher than the best in class. There is a dedicated night mode you can toggle on, and it adds some extra sharpening, restores more of the highlights around the light sources, and suppresses the noise better. You end up with a more processed look overall, and for some reason the exposure is lower than the regular photos. The main cam can capture videos in up to 4K resolution at 30 FPS. Those are nicely detailed, with vibrant colors and high contrast. However, that last bit comes at the expense of some information in the shadows, which aren't always perfectly developed. There is electronic stabilization available, but only in 1080p resolution. It does a decent job smoothing more conservative shakes, but fails with more rapid movement. In low light, 4K video from the main camera retains a lot of detail and good colors, while also keeping noise in check. Dynamic range is limited though, with shadows often ending up underdeveloped. Now let's talk about the 2x telephoto zoom camera, which produces 8 megapixel photos after the binning is applied. The quality is impressive, with great detail, contrast, and dynamic range. The colors match the main cams well too. Oppo is proud of the portrait capturing of the Reno10 Pro, and we can see why. The telephoto portraits indeed look even more impressive than those from the regular cam, extra sharp and clean. In low light, the zoom camera does about as well as the main one. It even has a slight edge when it comes to noise. Night mode telephoto shots are a bit too aggressively processed, with heavy-handed sharpening. And just like the main cam's night mode photos, these come out looking slightly darker than the regular ones. There's no 4K recording on the telephoto cam. The 1080p video has a decent amount of detail for the resolution and good colors, but limited dynamic range. And here are some photos from the 8 megapixel ultrawide cam. They have balanced contrast and dynamic range. The colors are slightly different from the other two cameras though, and these photos are both noisier and softer. Low light photos taken with the ultrawide are disappointing. They're soft, especially around the edges, and very noisy. Light sources are blown out too. Enabling night mode helps a lot here. You get a bit more detail and the noise is handled better. These shots are far more usable, but they're still not great. Like the telephoto, the ultrawide is limited to 1080p video recording. The footage is decidedly unimpressive. Selfies come from a 32 megapixel front-facing cam, which has autofocus. These have nice colors and the detail level is good, though the processing is keen to smooth out the skin. The dynamic range could be better as well. So that's the Oppo Reno10 Pro for you. It has a great screen, a nice design, as well as very fast charging. You don't have ingress protection or stereo speakers though, and you can find equally priced competitors with more powerful chipsets. So it seems Oppo should consider a moderate price cut to turn a decent phone into a good deal. Thanks for watching guys. If you're looking for alternatives to the Reno10 Pro, you could check out our video of the Samsung Galaxy A54. Another option is Xiaomi's Poco F5. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.